And we're live on another Legion Live. I just realized I'm wearing my blue blocker glasses that always reflect my ring light. They said the ring light would make me look skinny and pretty. They lied.
I was going to say, I'm not going to. They do make you look skinny and pretty.
Both alone are tough. Together is darn near impossible. All right, so welcome back, everybody, to another weekly Legion Live. If you're watching this on YouTube, we appreciate you coming on and watching the replay. Or if you're watching on the shared version on social that's not live, you should have been here live, because sometimes we get private comments during the show and then we call you out for making these comments and make you feel really dumb. And it's funny when that happens, especially people like Destiny and Emma and Paul. So, you know. Norm, how was... This is the first time we've been back together on one of these since the new year. And I need to ask you, how was your new year?
It was fantastic. Let's see. Went to bed at about 10 o'clock. I'm an old guy, but brought it in while snoring. How about yourself?
I was asleep by 9:30.
Oh, very good.
Because I'm also an old guy, or fat. I don't know. But one of the things that happened, folks, is we woke up from... we didn't wake up, but we rolled into New Year's with some changes from Amazon with their FBA pricing and FBA fulfillment fee structure, which does have an impact on us. Some of it's good, some of it's bad, and we're going to talk about maybe some of the things that are happening as well as ramifications and how we can respond to that. So, Norm?
Yeah, probably one of the first things we should talk about, Tim, is just what's happening with the FBA fees. And if you want to talk about, what's happening, how are they going up? Just the overview of it.
Yeah, there's multiple fees that are going up. There's the fulfillment cost. There's several. The three big ones are the actual fulfillment fees, the long-term storage fees, and then the disposal and removal fees. Which one do you want to hit first?
Oh, why don't we just talk about the fulfillment fees going up?
So the fulfillment fees are going up in a very confusing manner. And I say that because it's hard to understand the percentage that they're going up, because it varies based on your size and weight, classification, sometimes even your categories. But it ranges between about 2 and 12%. So the larger and heavier you get, the higher that increase is. The smaller, lighter items, only a 2% increase. Now, before everybody freaks out and gets all upset, keep this in mind. I don't really blame Amazon for this. Remember, for years, Amazon actually lost money through their fulfillment through FBA. They were offering it so inexpensively to us to create that consumer expectation of very inexpensive shipping, low prices, free 2-day delivery, right? So they've been equalizing the prices and getting it back up to a point that at least is break even for them. But also on top of that, costs have increased substantially for fulfillment and warehousing. If we look at the shortages of labor in especially the US during COVID, right? They're having to pay warehouse workers sometimes massive sign-on bonuses and overtime and increasing the wages. If we look at the truck drivers, their costs are going up. If we look at the delivery drivers that actually bring the packages and parcels to your house, they're having to pay overtime. They're having to pay more, higher wages to incentivize these folks to continue to work. So their costs are going up. And if we actually look at the rate of inflation for logistical cost in the US, it's about 25% from 12 months ago. So Amazon's top end is only a 12% increase. So although I don't like my costs increasing, I don't think it's unfair. I think it's actually generous of them to not increase it more than they already have.
Yeah, and I think that this is one of those costs that are going to be right across the board, right? So if you've got to mark it up an extra 2%, everybody has to.
Yep, your competitors
if you want that 12% hit, you've got to mark it up. If you don't, it'll affect your bottom line for sure.
Absolutely. The next thing that's going up is the long-term storage fees, right?
Yep, you got it.
So do you want to talk about that, or you want me to talk about that?
No, go ahead, Tim, because this is another one that has been slowly creeping up, right?
Yeah. Again, Amazon gave us cheap warehousing, and it kind of spoiled us. It ruined us. Like, it was cheaper to store stuff at Amazon than anywhere else. And now that prices are starting to equalize, we have been conditioned to expect those very low prices, and we feel like, hey, we're just getting hosed here. Again, the prices are still less expensive for normal storage fees than a regular 3PL. Now, the long-term storage fees are going up a lot. Regular storage fees are going up about 10%. Long-term storage fees over 100%, like up to, I think, $1.70 per cubic foot. It's insane. What this tells me is that Amazon is heavily incentivizing us to move our products faster. They don't want to be long-term storage anymore. So they're trying to get our stuff in and out. They're trying to unclog these filled up warehouses. And we have to remember that their costs are going up for warehouse workers and things like that as well. So later on in this episode, we can talk about some of the things that we can do to reduce that. But that's the main headline is long-term storage going up about 10%. Super long-term, which I think is classified over 270 days, goes up like 125 or 150%. Yeah. It's insane. Yeah.
No, that's crazy. So we've always said that if you've got slow-moving items, get rid of the items. Like, why you have them in Amazon? Either liquidate them or do something with them.
Which is ironic because the third category of fulfillment fees that went up is the removal and disposal orders, right? And those went up about 110%. So this is the thing that kind of sucks is Amazon's like, hey, we're going to start charging you more to store our stuff. By the way, at the same time, we're going to charge you even more to remove those items. Now, again, I don't like my costs going up, but they were offering removal and disposal orders stupid cheap for a very long time. You could get items removed for like 30 cents, wasn't it?
Yeah, and they usually offer at least once or twice a year at zero.
At zero. It doesn't cost them nothing to ship that stuff, right? It costs Amazon labor to go and pick the items off the shelf, put them in boxes, they're supplying the packaging, and then actually mail them usually through UPS back to us. So when they were offering removal orders at 30 and 50 cents a unit, even for large items, guys, that was so far below market value. That was just stupid cheap. We can't get upset when they start to equalize that to something that is more normal. Now, I don't like the timing. I don't like they say, hey, you got to get your stuff out because we're going to charge you more. At the same time, it's like, oh, we're going to charge you more to remove it or dispose of it. But keep this in mind. The world is not coming to an end, right? The whole thing's not burning down and crashing down on us. What we're seeing is an equalization of costs to a more normal rate, which would be industry standard, in addition to some increasing costs of fulfillment and labor and shipping and all that stuff. When I look at prices, when I look at, apples to apples comparison, even with potential increases of up to 12% for fulfillment fees, it is still cheaper for Amazon to pull my stuff off that shelf, put it in a box, tape it up, put the sticker on it, and send it to anyone in the US than the majority of anything I could ship myself, right? It's still cheaper. It's still not a bad way to go. So I don't want this to be doom and gloom. I just want it to be something we're aware of. So I have a few tips for kind of how to go forward on these, and I can start them and let Norm pitch in with his sagely bearded wisdom as we need him. But the first thing we'll talk about is increased costs in general. Remember that FBA fees going up maybe 5% doesn't mean that all of your costs go up 5%. If you're selling a $30 item, your FBA fees could only be $5 or $6, 30% of that, right? So if a few percentage increase of your fulfillment costs ruin your profitability, you had another problem to begin with. Either your margins were too low, your price was too low, you were selling the wrong product. I've been on my soapbox about this before, and people say, oh, my cost per click went up an average of 10%, and now I can't make any money. Well, dude, if 10% cost per click ruined your profitability, you were doing something wrong anyway. So it brings to light a bigger issue. Now, I like having more money in my pocket. I get it. I understand. I don't like my cost to go up. But if a small increase or even a 10 or 15% increase to your fulfillment costs ruins you, you're doing something wrong to begin with. So make sure that you have margins, your perceived value is high, all of that good stuff. All right, that's the first thing. Anything to add to that, Norm?
No, I think you nailed it with that. There's a lot of new sellers that come onto the marketplace, and they just don't understand. Like, they think, oh, I got 30% in there, I'm going to, just clean up. And it's just not the case. So yeah, just remember that you need to have that margin to really make it on Amazon or any e-commerce platform. If it's not on Amazon, guys, let's say that you have a Shopify store. Well, you're going to have to drive traffic from Facebook or somewhere. That's probably going to cost you a lot more to convert than on Amazon. Amazon's a marketplace where you've got captivated audience, right? On Shopify, you've got to create that audience.
I like Mary's comment here. I just pulled up, says, sure makes sense. It could be worse. Agreed.
Yeah.
So another thing that you need to be doing, because fulfillment costs are going up, is you need to make sure that you are wisely packaging your products. Okay. What I mean by that is I can't tell you how many products that I order myself on Amazon, and it's a small item shipped in a big OPP bag. Well, when Amazon does what's called a Cubiscan and measures the biggest that bag can be, they're charging you for a larger item. Put it in small packaging, vacuum seal that. These acoustic tiles, right? The little egg carton acoustic tiles. I remember people used to sell those in a package of 12. It was a big bundle, very expensive. When someone figured out how to vacuum seal those into a tiny little thing, the cost of vacuum sealing was only about 20% of the money that they saved just by making it smaller. So make sure it's small. Make sure you have wise packaging, that you're getting in within those limits of the smaller size categories or the weight categories. I can't tell you how many mistakes I see being made with poor packaging that are costing you a lot more money in the long run.
Even a 1/4 inch or a 1/2 inch. I mean, if you could save that around your packaging, here's an easy thing to do. Just go to Helium 10, go to use the free tools that they have, and you can see
profitability calculator.
Yeah, the profitability calculator, and you'll see the difference that just the slightest change will make, and it makes a huge difference to your bottom line.
Yeah, play with the different numbers. Add in, hey, if my item is 16 by 16 by 16 inches, what if I can make it 16 by 16 by 14? Shave off 2 inches on one side, and you'll see what those fees will adjust to. And sometimes, like Norm said, a 1/4 inch can make a big difference.
Yeah.
Somebody please comment on that. Please, Tony, I'm counting on you. A 1/4 inch can make all the difference in the world. All right. So, sorry. I'm trying to keep it together, but I'm like a real kid. I can't do it. All right. So the last thing is long-term storage. The longer I'm dying. The longer you keep your products in the Amazon warehouses, the more increase that cost is going to be, right? Like it's going to go up at a higher rate. So start utilizing those 3PLs, start utilizing the third-party warehouses. We've been saying this all through COVID and through this logistical snafu, because we can't always get our stuff into Amazon quickly, and we might need to have those items merchant fulfilling from a warehouse. But what we're seeing right now is that a lot of the warehouses space is cheaper long-term than Amazon is. So we're still advocating, send your stuff to a 3PL warehouse. That way you have the option to omni-channel fulfill, to sell to your Walmart, your eBay, your Shopify, as well as merchant fulfilled on Amazon if you need to, while drip feeding into Amazon FBA, which will help you avoid those long-term storage fees. It's not a perfect world. It's not as great as it used to be, where we could send whatever we wanted to Amazon. They'd store it for nearly nothing, ship it all out. But right now, having that redundancy and that stability of multiple options to fulfill and ship our products is a lot safer bet. And with these long-term storage fees going up, it's cheaper to keep it stored somewhere else.
And I think, like you said, inventory management is key. So, if you can turn your inventory 12 times a year, that's awesome. I mean, most of us, when we're coming in from China, it might be every quarter that you're getting the product in. But I'm going off into a different rabbit hole here. But if you can change and have it more domestic, or Mexico or South America or a different country altogether than China, then you might be able to turn that inventory quicker. I know my product, I sell soap, and I can get my product to me within 2 weeks. So I can turn that inventory very quickly, which improves my cash flow. So inventory management is going to be a key in 2022.
Amen. Love it, love it, love it. All right. Well, there is the big updates in FBA fees, and there are the kind of responses that Norm and I have about those things. We'd love to hear from you guys what you think about it. If maybe any of your products were heavily affected or not affected, or if you think it's fair, or you think it's a bunch of crap or whatever, post in the comments on these posts wherever you're seeing those, or if you're watching on YouTube, after you give us a thumbs up and a subscribe on that channel, make sure you leave some sort of comment in the comment section and let us know what you think. Cool?
Very good.
Got it. Good. I remember my 3rd grade teacher used to say that all the time. I don't know why it just popped into my head, because I haven't said it or heard of it in 30 years. Anyways, Cool. Well, we will wrap it up. Thank y'all for being on Legion Live. Make sure if you're not part of our Private Label Legion Facebook group that you go over and do that. And Norm, any final words of wisdom before we sign off?
One last little thing.
Oh boy.
Okay.
Here we go.
There's one last little thing. If you have to move your product quickly, don't forget about digital coupons. You can just, get that product down by 50, 60, 70%. And sometimes that saves you better than, going to a liquidator or just removing everything. So that's on last note. That's all I have to say.
Amen. Thank you all for watching. Appreciate you sharing this around to all your peeps, and we will see you next week.
See you later.